The Bundesliga is back, and Saturday brought with it its first round of games since the pause in play, and there were plenty of goals to see as well. Let's bring you all the results from the day's action, starting with Borussia Dortmund, who were at home to Schalke. 4-0 it finished to them, keeping that unbeaten home run intact. And once again, Erling Haaland on the score sheet for Dortmund. Leipzig played out a 1-1 draw with Freiburg. It could have been worse for Julian Nagelsmann's men, because they did have VAR denying the visitors a goal in stoppages. They were trailing as well in this one, but they've lost some ground on the top two with that result. Hoffenheim were beaten by Hertha Berlin 3-0 there. It was goalless in a bottom of the table battle between Fortuna Düsseldorf and Paderborn, a point that serves neither side very well. Wolfsburg with a win over Augsburg 2-1. It finished to the visitors, who continue their pre-break unbeaten form. That's 7 without a loss now. They're pushing for Europe. And in the last game on Saturday, Borussia Monchengladbach got a 3-1 win over Eintracht Frankfurt with 2 very early goals in this one from Alassane Plea and Marcus Thuram. Andre Silva got a late consolation in this one, but that is all that it was. And that rounds out Saturday's results. And there are already some changes in the table because of that. Bayern Munich still sitting on top. They'll be playing on Sunday, but Borussia Dortmund pushing to within just a point of them in second. It means as well that there's been some changes just underneath. Leipzig losing their spot, Borussia Monchengladbach jumping over them into third, and just below them, Bayer Leverkusen and Wolfsburg in 5th and 6th as it stands. So it is tight at the top in the Bundesliga, and there's still plenty to play for as well. Stevie Nicol joining me now to discuss everything that we saw so far. Stevie, it's football, but not quite as we know it. What did you make of the return of the Bundesliga?
I think I was pleasantly surprised. I thought once the games got started, it was entertaining, and I kind of forgot about the crowds. You know, you hear everybody shouting. There's a lot of echoes going around, but I guess it's good. It shows all the other leagues around the world that, you know, you can play. It can be competitive, and it can be enjoyable again to watch.
Because that's what they are doing, isn't it? As you mentioned, they are paving the way, and you do feel that the other leagues, the leagues that are still hoping to get back, the Premier League, Serie A and La Liga, will have been taking notes today.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing is, in a couple of weeks' time, touch wood, here we go, hardwood, that nobody comes down with anything. I think that is the biggest thing. It's great that we're watching football again. It's great that there's games going ahead. But the most important thing is everybody comes through this, even a 2-week period, safely. And then I think that will give everybody around the world huge confidence, the fact that they can actually get back and play.
There were some concerns for the return for many of the footballers, and many thought it would be like a pre-season. It probably is for some of them because of that break in play. But it didn't look like that for Borussia Dortmund today with their 4-0 win. Great performance from them.
Yeah, they showed no signs of anything other than being fit and ready and healthy and ready to go from first minute to last minute. They were sharp. There were a couple of occasions, there were certain players pecking, shall we say, a little bit. But other than that, I thought generally the fitness of the majority of all the players was fantastic, and clearly they've been looking after themselves. And of course, it's one thing to be fit and healthy. It's another thing to actually perform at the level that Borussia did, because that was impressive. They scored 4, could have been more.
It puts the pressure on Bayern Munich, who are playing on Sunday. Now, obviously, Bayern Munich, with the team that they are, they're always obliged to win. But you do get the sense that with the run of form they were having, a very good one in 2020, perhaps that break in play didn't come at a good time for them.
Yeah, I think if things don't go well from here on in, that will be pointed. People will point the finger at that and say that was it. But I think they're lucky. They're at home. Yes, there's no crowd, but when you play at home, crowd or no crowd, it definitely gives you an advantage. And I think we saw that today with Borussia. Although there was no crowd, they absolutely took advantage of their surroundings. And I expect Bayern to do the same thing. I don't expect anything other than a Bayern Munich win.
RB Leipzig couldn't take advantage of them being at home, though. It was a 1-1 draw with Freiburg, and it could have been worse as well because a late VAR decision ruled out a winner for Freiburg. That left it at a draw. But even though they did get away with that late on, you do feel that the fact they had home advantage and only came away with a point is not what they would have been hoping for on Saturday.
No, listen, I think if you take the positives, you've got almost 20 shots. 20 shots. Now, that clearly tells you that they had opportunities. They certainly had the majority of the possession. They were the team carrying the game. Crowd or no crowd, sometimes you don't have your shooting boots on. And sometimes, regardless of the opportunities and the shots and everything else, sometimes it doesn't go for you. So you can look at it two ways. You can say, yes, they were fortunate they had a goal. They got a goal disallowed towards the end. But personally, it shouldn't have been a free kick leading up to it anyway. You could say, well, they got a point, weren't at the best. So at the end of the day, they didn't lose. They did get a point, but unfortunately, as you said earlier, they dropped down a spot in the table.
Gladbach's 3 goals served them well against Eintracht Frankfurt and helped them to leapfrog Leipzig into 3rd place right now. Including that game, it's 5 of their last 9 that are against bottom of the table teams. Now, Bayern Munich are in there, it must be said. But what's it like going up against bottom of the table teams at this stage of the season, Stevie? Is it actually sometimes harder to be facing those teams?
Well, it's harder if you don't get your preparation and your head right. If you go into the games talking about, well, these are relegation threatened sides, this should be a piece of cake, then that can put you in trouble. I will say that Frankfurt today had been on a bad run as well. They're kind of dropping towards that relegation zone. And Monchengladbach absolutely went about it the right way. They were away from home. They got ahead early, and they never really looked as though there was going to be anything other than a victory. So, yes, they're coming up against teams that are on the wrong side of the league table. But they've shown to me in this game today that they're professional. They will go about it the right way, and I don't expect them to falter against these sides. Bayern Munich, however, may be a different kettle of fish.
Well, let's assume that the other leagues that are waiting to come back do come back. We know what it's like at the top of the Bundesliga now. As of Saturday, it's just 1 point between Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. Let's say they win and it goes back to 4. And you go to the Premier League, we know that Liverpool have almost won that league. You look at La Liga, there's 2 points between Barcelona and Real Madrid right now. And in the Serie A, Juventus are just 1 point ahead of Lazio, which is the most exciting title race right now.
I would say the Bundesliga for me, because I think the way that Bayern and Borussia have been playing, it's nip and tuck in the right manner. I'm not convinced that in Spain, particularly, that Madrid and Barcelona are playing particularly well for sure. So I'm kind of looking at it from a viewer's point of view, from the outside looking in. It's interesting to see great football, great goals, lots of them, and a tight competition. And for me, that would have to be the Bundesliga.
Well, the Bundesliga is back and perhaps paving the way for a successful return for those other leagues of Serie A, La Liga, and of course, the Premier League.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.